Okay, this is the modified Linn LM-2. One of the complaints about the LM-2 from the LM-1 was that it didn't have tuning for all the voices. They did have tuning for things like the toms and the congas and the snare. The snare was tied to the side stick. They had a hi-hat decay, which was nice, but people complained they didn't have tuning control over all of the voices. So I decided, well, maybe I can fix that, and so I added tuning pots for all of the voices that didn't have it. That is the bass, the hi-hat, the cabasa, the tambourine, the cowbell, the claps, the ride, the crash, and the side stick all now have independent tuning control. On the bottom you have the amplitude mixer. Here you have the pan pot controls, and then these are the drum triggers. The way I added the tuning was basically to disconnect the internal clocks for those voices and added my own 555 clocks that I could control independently. These 555 timer clocks are controlled by these potentiometers, and you can see I've added an analog switch to switch the control voltage between the side stick and the snare so I can run them independently. So let's see how all of that sounds. Start out with a hi-hat. Now, a hi-hat decay can be controlled by this stock dial right here, from very wide to very narrow. But what you can also do is now you can control the pitch of the hi-hat. Now adjust the decay back down to very clicky, and then bring that up so it's almost noise, and then bringing that up very, very high so it's very clicky, or a little more splashy. So we'll leave it somewhere in the middle. Let's bring up the bass a little bit. So the LM-2 always had a pretty powerful bass drum. This is in the middle of its range. Let's turn it down. There's a little bit of punch, but it's a pretty interesting sound. We can bring it up to a very high. It's a very tight bass drum. Let's bring it somewhere in the middle. See about the snare is already tunable. Let's just bring that in. And that can be down to stock tune. You can bring that very high up. Put it somewhere in the middle. Now let's look at the side stick a little bit. And that's quite variable. So I can play that. Tune it very low. Tune it very high. Now the toms, see the range of those. Bring up the ride and see how we've changed the pitch on the ride. That's somewhere in the middle. And now let's see how we did the crash. Bring that sound up. Or a little splashy crash. This is the cabasa. And now let's bring up the actual tambourine. It's already in the mix. That's somewhere in the middle. Turn it down. Bring that back up. So it almost disappears. Somewhere in the middle. Congas are stock and tunable. Bring up the cowbell. That's kind of the stock cowbell. How does that tune down? Or it can be very like on a go-go. And finally the claps. The claps themselves can be very clappy, very clicky, or like a gunshot. And that's basically it.